Last week, Jimmy Butler requested a trade from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Butler listed the LA Clippers, Brooklyn Nets, and New York Knicks as preferred destinations. Team president and coach Tom Thibodeau was reluctant to trade Butler, but team owner Glenn Taylor stepped in and has made trading Butler a priority. I'm here with Brad Klier to discuss the entire situation. So Brad, what's your thoughts on all this?
All right, so there's a lot of dimensions to this whole situation. I think the first thing you have to look at, we'll get into the teams, trade offers, et cetera, towards the end. But first, you have to look at it. This is a very weird organizational dynamic. The right move here and the simple decision is that you trade Jimmy Butler now because you're not going to be able to retain him. You get the most value then.
You get the most value now.
Yes. So the coach and president, the guy who's supposed to be being paid to make these basketball decisions, President Tom Thibodeau, GM Scott Layden, Tom Thibodeau is the coach also, so he's only thinking short term, showing the fault in the coach-president basketball operations dual role, to the point where the owner, who is paying Tom Thibodeau to do these sort of things, has to step in. It's ridiculous.
I'm getting kind of Cavaliers vibes with this, where like one player is kind of making everyone to like make a decision around him, right? Where in a way, like LeBron was like, we got to do this, we got to trade all these players and this and that.
I don't think this is a LeBron situation
what
at
I'm
all.
saying is like Jimmy Butler is kind of forcing everyone to make a decision for him.
He requested a trade. This isn't a LeBron
but now
situation.
everyone's stepping. But I'm saying like more people are getting involved than they should be.
It's not that more people are getting involved than there should be. I think it's the fault of the front office, who is paid to do these things, are not doing the right things. The owner had to step in. Now the question becomes potential destinations. To me, he has his 3 teams that he had on his preferred list. The team that makes the most sense is the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have no salary cap space. They have no other way of acquiring a star. They have money to match up with Minnesota. They can get Butler in, sign him to the 5 years for $190, keep him long term. You have your star there. They're the 5 seed or so with them on team.
As well.
Yes, and as a result of not having cap space, you can't get a star any other way. The Miami Heat have been renowned for having a culture that players love to be involved in once they get there. South Beach and in Florida, with no state income tax, has extreme allure to it. You look at an offer, you have Justice Winslow, you throw in James Johnson, they have a 2019 and 2023 first. If they want to send Dieng over without Sacramento getting involved, you could throw Whiteside over to Minnesota. It makes all the sense in the world.
I just feel like I think Butler and Whiteside could be a good combo. That's the thing. You don't want to, I feel like offloading like what you have to gain one player.
No. It wouldn't be Whiteside to get Butler. It'd be Whiteside in order to match Gorgui Dieng if the Timberwolves hold to the ideal of trading Dieng. But overall, too, I think look at the 3 teams he requested. The Nets have no need to go all in on Butler now. They can retain their very high draft pick. Be in the top 10, and they can have their cake there and eat it and sign a free agent. The Knicks have no need to give up assets at this point because they're not all in on this offseason either. The Clippers make a lot of sense to make the move now.
They're kind of rebuilding, though.
Well, who, the Clippers?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're in this situation where they're the 11 to 13 seed in the West. They're not bad enough to tank. They have 2 max slots. They have attractive young and veteran players that can satisfy what Minnesota would want in a trade. I just don't think that they're going to be really big to trade for him now because maybe Kawhi wouldn't want to come if Jimmy Butler was there, and I think their primary concern right now is Kawhi. So to me, this all adds up. I think Miami is the perfect fit.
I agree. I feel like Miami, again, has a kind of a good culture for a player like Jimmy Butler kind of step in, become the face of the franchise, and get Miami back to relevancy.
And with Jimmy Butler on their team, that's the 5 seed in the East. They're making the playoffs year in and year out. And for Miami, if he goes there, or if he gets traded there and he doesn't re-sign after a year, it's worth the risk because otherwise you're stuck in the middle really going nowhere. At that point, you'd be further down, devoid of draft picks, but at least you made the effort to acquire that star player of which you had no other mechanism to acquire that player.
I just find the NBA so interesting where like you put all your resources into 1 year and then you're out of luck for the next year or 2.
Well, I think it depends on the individual transaction. Like the Paul George one we saw worked out to an extreme extent. Toronto with Kawhi, I think it's a 2-pronged thing. If Kawhi stays, you're the second or first best team in the East for years. If not, you have young guys you can move forward with. So I think it's dependent on each individual transaction. But I think as a whole, star players controlling their destiny in the NBA, that's a theme that's been around for the last 5 or 6 years. It's going to continue for the very foreseeable future.
Ever since LeBron moved to the Heat, I feel like star power is such an important thing nowadays. Like you have players like Jimmy Butler who control the market wherever they go.
Yeah, and it's going to be the same thing when Anthony Davis is in his second to last year before free agency. It's going to be the same thing potentially when Giannis Antetokounmpo is at that point. You can see all these things coming down the road. These things have happened in the past. I think that Jimmy Butler overall saga points to two things. One, the coach and president dual role cannot work. And two, the idea and the principle that star players control their destiny is nowhere near going away.
All right, well, we'll see how that goes. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's webcast. Make sure to tune in next week, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook. For Brad Klier, I'm Joshua Toback. And as always, whose side are you on?